Our first question is from a mother who says, what happens if one parent is working on this? By this, she means, learning how to love and teach a child. One parent's working on this, but the other isn't for whatever reason. That's a very good question. The one parent who is working on it has to keep continuing to apply the principles that are true, because it's the only thing that works. Doing nothing isn't ever going to work, no matter what the other parent does. What else is there to do? You just keep doing the right thing. And if the people around you are not supportive or doing the wrong thing, you keep doing the right thing. Or you could fight them about it, which never works. And it can be difficult to be the only one who's applying the principles, but one parent doing real love can change everything. What usually happens is this. Here's one possibility. If you become genuinely loving, not angry anymore, which in this particular mother's case, she has in other communications told me has been a problem, not angry, your spouse sees the difference and begins to do it with you, because your spouse is going, dang, nothing else has gotten rid of her anger, so let's keep this going and I'll cooperate. Or, second possibility, your husband does love the new you. I mean, who wouldn't like to be with a spouse who is less angry? But he still won't do the work with you for whatever reason. Too scared, too lazy, but he still enjoys it. Commonly, you can then discuss with your partner about the possibility of you doing all the parenting. And then you agree, or if there's hesitation, sometimes you need to firmly insist that he stays out of the parenting of the children. And it's really easy to conduct this conversation. You say, the way we've been doing it in the past has never worked. It's always gone badly. The way I did it went badly. The way you did it went badly. Now we found a way that works. So if you can just let me take it over, most spouses will go, oh, sure, because they didn't like failing anyway. And you tell him the old way was hurting them. So let's try this. Now that leaves it all to you, but so what? The mother says, my husband is happy that I'm doing the work, but doesn't seem to realize that he also needs to work on his anger. Yeah, no doubt. In the beginning, most people won't work on their anger because they first have to admit that they were angry and selfish and abusive. And that's the step that stops almost all progress, because you can't learn until you first admit you didn't know or that you were actually wrong. And we've experienced so much pain in our lives with the people around us telling us, you're bad, you're wrong, you're stupid, you're selfish, you're whatever, that another opportunity to say, I'm wrong, just reflexively people go, no, not going there. And that's why he's not willing to do it. He's not a bad person. He's afraid, actually. So people have buried it and denied it and been ashamed of it for so long. It's just too embarrassing to admit and actually work on. So what to do? Back to the same answer. You keep doing the work. You badly need the ridiculously effective parenting training that you find at realloveparents.com. You need all the supports you can get. You get 3 support materials every week in addition to the training. You get written answers, video answers, conference calls. You need that. Your son needs that. And actually, so does your husband, because he'll benefit from seeing it applied. You say, he gets very angry, your husband, especially with our 16-year-old. Our son likes to sleep late and he gets angry when we wake him up. Gee, poor baby. If you can't tell, I've dealt with this problem more than once. For now, ask your husband to do an experiment with you. We alluded to it earlier. You ask him to just stay out of it, getting the kid up, because you're going to learn to love your son better. How could this go wrong? Really, I mean, the way you're doing it now sucks eggs. It's awful. So let's try something different. Couldn't be worse. Then you have the responsibility to love and teach your son. You decide what time he has to be up, and you explain to him why he has to be up at that time. Oh, things like learning to be a responsible adult. He's not 9, he's 16. He's getting ready to go out into the world, and he's getting up, if I were just taking a shot, at 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon, and that doesn't work in the real world unless you worked all night. So you explain to him the why one time. We parents can be a little dense. We repeat ourselves over and over again, and our kids are just laughing at us because they already know the answer. They're just going, and we hate nagging them, and they really kind of like the control. So you explain that happiness results from feeling loved and from being loving and responsible. His lying in bed all hours will not contribute to being responsible and therefore not to his happiness. So he has to be up by, say, since he's home from school, and we're going to put a laziness factor in there, and maybe you live north of the Arctic Circle, he has to be up by 9 in the morning. That's really late. That's a lot later than I get up, and I'm old. And you have to tell him, this is not an option. This is not a suggestion. You will be getting up at 9 o'clock. He lives under your roof and benefits from your heating, cooling, house, food, Wi-Fi, insurance, transportation, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, he's going to get up at 9 o'clock. If he got a job, he'd show up on time. Well, this is his job. And you can explain that to him. This is your practice job. You will be up, not falling out of your bed at 9 o'clock. No, up, showered, in a particular location that you specify. I know this really sounds picky, but if you don't, he'll just roll out of bed, fall asleep on the floor, and say, I got up at 9 o'clock. I've done this before. Then you have to work with him on a schedule that he'll follow every day. For example, schoolwork. So you have to do your schoolwork you pick your own hours. I'm just making this up. 9 to noon. You have to do your schoolwork then, because he does have some online work he can do. Housework. Don't just give him like a 4-year-old job. My 4-year-old took the garbage to the street. Give him real stuff to do, stuff to clean, laundry to do, dishes to do, and then give him the exact hours to do it. Otherwise, what happens? Well, everything else comes first. Everything he wants to do. Games, Facebook, whatever. No, you give him the hours because that's how a job goes. And he's getting to the place where he's going to go out into the world. If you don't prepare him, he'll fail at the job. And then everybody will wonder, how come he's doing so poorly at work? Because nobody trained him at home. Yard work. Give this kid work to do. Work makes us happy and strong. It was a family motto, and it's still true. It's just a true principle. It's not some gross imposition on your part into his life, and so on and so on. You decide what he needs to do to learn to be responsible as an adult, since he's almost there. Specify the times. It's obvious that your son has very little to do. You've assigned him very little to do because he can get up at 3 or 4 in the afternoon and it doesn't make any difference. And he essentially lives like an infant. That's embarrassing. Not for him. It's embarrassing for you. He's contributing nothing and just taking. And nobody's doing anything about it. This entitlement will destroy his life. So you have to do something about it. When? Oh, preferably 14 years ago, but all right, we're at today. So now, and the parenting training will help you with that. Do you love him enough to do the training and do the work? That's the real question. Well, I hope so. But if you don't do the training and don't do your own work, which the training requires you to do, the ridiculously effective parenting training, This kid's not going to change. He's established a 16-year rut, and it's pretty deep. And if you think you're going to get him out of that rut by just turning his lights on in the morning, you're dreaming. It's not going to work. If he isn't up and out of bed and doing what he's scheduled to do, you explain to him that because your words are not working, you will be using consequences. That's what consequences are for. If words don't work, well, then we'll use actions. Bosses at work do the same thing. You need to show up at work on time, the boss says, with his words. And if the kid's late once, he'll say, remember how I told you you need to be on time? I wasn't joking. Then the next time the kid is late, the boss says, words aren't working, you're fired. Well, this is a lot easier than getting fired from the job that he looked for 3 months. And then if he doesn't get up on time, you begin to remove privileges until he does keep the schedule. That's what consequences do. Well, what consequences, I'm imitating parents. I don't know what consequences to apply. What does he really like the most? Well, they can answer that. Remove that. You make it so that he hates the removal of the consequences more than he likes sleeping in. It's that simple. So what do you remove? Well, phone's gone. The phone is gone not for 2 hours or do some token effort just to get it back. The phone is gone until he does the schedule meticulously, flawlessly for a week. And if after 2 days he goes back to sleeping in, then you go, well, the week starts over for your phone. Oh, he will be highly motivated. He will also be highly annoyed, but it will motivate him. All Wi-Fi. Some parents say to me, well, I can't turn off the Wi-Fi because I need to use the internet. Password. And if you don't know how to put a password on your Wi-Fi, Google it. He loses all privileges to leave the house. He loses all video gaming. If he keeps going, and some kids do, not many, but some kids keep going and they go, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get up on time. Okay, you can't make a 16-year-old get out of bed. Good luck. Then you remove the door to his bedroom. They tend to really hate that. It's really simple. Just takes a pair of pliers. And then you remove his bed from his bedroom. You just keep going till he gets it. And I've seen kids keep going to where they were sleeping in a tent outside in the rain. Okay. If that's what it takes to learn responsibility for the rest of your life so that you can be happy, is it worth it? Yeah. Or you will enable him in his entitlement, and he will be crippled as an adult. I get to talk to many, I know more 1,000 people than most people have seen names in a phone book. And I get to talk to many, many adults who are unable to have a job, have a relationship, have a place to live, anything. They're crippled. They're infants because nobody required them to be responsible when they were little children. Nobody did. So they really don't know how. They're not pretending now. And then it's just tragic. They have no life. Listen to this. They have no life because their parents had no guts. Mom says it's especially bad now that he has practically no school and not much to do. That's almost embarrassing to hear. He has not much to do. Well, it's not like he's going to go looking for more to do. Then give him something to do. I mean, be the mother. Learn all about it in the parenting training. Give him laundry, cleaning the house, plant trees in the yard, cut up that old dead tree that's been in the corner of the yard for, the last 10 years and the rotten pieces are falling off. Clean up messes in and out of the house. Put the kid to work. How is he going to work as an adult if he hasn't learned to work as a kid? He won't. I addressed once a gathering of CEOs from all over the country, all over the world, actually, at MIT, Massachusetts, a university. And as I was talking to these CEOs, they were complaining repeatedly that they couldn't find American kids who knew how to work, who just could simply put in a full day without being closely supervised, who didn't need a trophy at 10 a.m. for being most improved or participated well. He said, well, one particular guy I was talking to, but lots of them said it. They don't know how to work, period. Forget whether they went to school or got a degree, or they're useless to us. So we have to let them go. Well, your kid's halfway there. Well, more than halfway. But you can change it. You really can. Mom says, we've been telling him that he needs to get up by noon. When a child hears, you need to do this, there should be a laugh track for that. You know, oh, I need to. They don't care. They don't listen. No, you will. Not even you must. You will get up. And by noon is a joke. He needs to be up by 9. If it was my kid, he'd be up by 7. I'm up hours before that. He needs to get up by 9. But you say, get up by noon, or we'll turn off the Wi-Fi when we go to sleep. So now you realize what you're telling me, right? So you're saying if he doesn't get up by noon, then when he stays up till 4 a.m, you'll turn off the Wi-Fi for that little brief window where he's up at an incredibly irresponsible hour. You'll take away some of his fun. That's like putting a horse halfway into the barn. No, all the way in or all the way out. You continue. He did well for 3 days. In other words, he managed to get up by noon for 3 days. Not impressive. But today at 2:30 p.m., he still didn't want to get up. And that's because of you. It's not him. You trained him to do this. You're trying half measures with him. He simply doesn't believe you or respect you. That's not fun to hear, but it's really true. And why should he? You made him entitled by babying him for 16 years. I'm not criticizing you or making fun of you. No matter what you do with him, it won't affect me. So why would I make fun of you or be annoyed at what you're doing? But you have entitled him for 16 years. You can't keep doing it. Can't. Or his life will get unspeakably bad. Mom says he was in a bad mood today, that when he got up at 2:30 in the afternoon, that triggered my husband. I imagine so. My husband calls him lazy and other kinds of names, and when he loses it, my husband gets really nasty, and then, surprise, my son gets nasty too. That's why I said primarily just 3 things. I haven't gone on and on about how to do this. Really, I'm just saying this. You have to learn to find real love. You. The first thing is you. It's not your son, and it's not your husband, which we've talked about in Unit 13, and throughout the parenting training, you'll see information about it. Then you be loving to your husband and son. That's just number 1. Number 2, you tell your husband that you'll do the parenting for now. And if he'll just stay out of it, he'll like the results way better than what has clearly not worked to this point. 3, just 3 things. You start loving and teaching your son consistently and firmly, using consequences only if he doesn't listen to words, which he won't. Consequences have to be immediate, they have to be consistent, and they have to be bloody inconvenient to your son. If they're not inconvenient, if you say, well, I won't let you have as much ice cream at the end of the day, he doesn't care. And he'll sneak the ice cream later anyway. Inconvenience is the motivator. They have to be inconvenient to show him what? That he's being punished? Wrong. They have to be inconvenient to show him that in the real world, when he leaves home and discovers he actually has to pay for things, in the real world, being irresponsible is very expensive. You end up homeless, and homeless shelters will only keep you for so long. You can't make a career out of it. Or you end up in jail because, you stole some money only because you needed it, and while they had it, you didn't. I've heard all the reasons to break the law. Mom says, I tried to reason with my husband that getting angry was just making things worse, but he only justified that he has to get angry because our son is disrespectful and that sleeping late is a bad habit. It's so easy to justify anger. It's kind of just blah, blah, blah. He thinks our son should not react, but my husband is not exactly giving him an example of self-control. Don't try to teach your husband at this point to behave better. Don't do it. No, just love your husband. He'll like that part. If you don't love your husband first, he won't hear a thing you say. So love him, and then just ask him to stay out of the parenting, and that he will like it, that you promise that he'll like it. Now he doesn't have to have these confrontations with his kid. You just freed up half of his day. He doesn't have to fight this kid, get him up, doesn't have to turn off the Wi-Fi at night. Go through the list of things in his life that will improve if he just lets you do it. Show him. Mom says, my husband always apologizes later, but it gets to the point that my son doesn't care about his apologies. Yeah, why should he? Because here's what he's heard from you and your husband all of his life. You get angry, then you apologize. Then you get angry again anyway, usually the same day, probably several times the same day. Then you apologize. Then you get angry, then you apologize. Well, after a while, what do your apologies mean to your son? Nothing. Because all he wants to know is somebody going to finally pay attention to me and care about me? And each time you get angry, you say, maybe, but not me. That's pretty damaging to hear. It's also the reason he gets up at 2:30 in the afternoon. He just sees life as futile. Why try? Mom says, after the fact, I told my husband that his relationship with my son is far more important than the time he gets up. Oh, good luck with that. I think he can see that after he calms down, but in the moment, he doesn't want to hear anything. No, of course not. You can't talk to an angry person. It's like talking to a drunk. Your husband is not the object of your teaching at this point. Really, take the training now. Every answer to a question or problem that I ever give in these Facebook Lives are incomplete. Memorize that. Every answer I give you in these Facebook Live has to be incomplete because the entire answer is the entire parenting training. That's the answer. Now, the answers I give you are correct. They work, but they don't work very well without the underlying foundation of unconditional love and how to share it. That's what the training does. You need that. You bought the kid, so now you need the owner's manual. How annoyed would I be if I bought something that was complicated to put together and there's no owner's manual? What would I do you think? Very first thing, I would either call the company or these days, you just go online and say, where's the owner's manual for model BQ502C? And there it is. You have to ask yourself, is your son's life not worth it? Now, kind of a new subject, but not really. This is a different letter. This is another parent who wrote me about her anger and how her family is a living hell, her words. A running battle that never stops, her words. And I told her that in all that pain, would it not be worth getting the parenting training, which is what I've been talking about unusually a lot in this particular Facebook Live. And the mother emailed me back and she said, you could just hear her tone of voice because she's already somebody that has admitted having an anger problem. So she could not say this sentence without being angry. She said, that would cost hundreds of dollars. And then she added some extra angry things in case I missed the sarcasm of that would cost hundreds of dollars. And I said, baby, you are angry all the time, even at me right now. And I haven't done anything to you. In fact, I come here every weekday and give you free information about your children and you. And I don't care if you're angry at me. I don't. It affects my life zero. But it's killing you and your kid. And a few $100s is nothing. I don't mean less. I mean, it's nothing compared to a completely miserable life, children who are destroyed, a marriage that is more like a disease than a relationship. You'd fix your car for a few $100s. You'd pay to get rid of the termites in your house, thousands of dollars. You'd pay that on supplies, not to get infected with coronavirus if you had to buy masks or whatever. So we spend it on all the things that we then justify by saying, well, but they are necessary. You realize what we're saying, right? Well, our children are not. Our marriage is not. That's a little embarrassing. Are your life, your marriage, and your happiness worth spending that? Yes, it does require a few $100s. It required a few $100,000 to develop it and to make it available. Way more than dollars, actually. And I'm just offering. I'm not trying to persuade anybody to do spit. She responded and said, I didn't mean to sound irritated. And I said, yeah, I know. And that's the problem. You didn't. Now listen, this is subtle, but it's not. You didn't mean to sound irritated, but you are irritated all the time or on the edge of it, and your family feels it, so everybody stays on fire. I didn't mean to follows or precedes the vast majority of hurtful behaviors. Oh, I didn't mean to. And then we think it's okay. I stab you in the chest with a knife, but I didn't mean to. Well, you still got a knife in your chest. It's not enough to say that. Nothing changes until you mean not to. Till you mean not to be angry. Until that is your primary intention. Your focus in life to mean not to be angry. In other words, to be loving. To do something about your anger, you will keep being angry. You will, because you've been trained to do it for now, I'm guessing 40 plus years. You'll keep being angry, you'll keep hurting people, and you'll keep justifying it by saying, I didn't mean to. So, no criticism of you. I've been there, that angry. I'm just sharing vast experience with this subject and offering a genuine solution that has proven to work. Now, it's up to you to decide. Is my life worth it? Is my marriage worth it? Is my child worth it? Your call. I made my call. Now it's your turn. We'll see you tomorrow.